No, you can't tell a younger audience, hey, this is really cool. You saved, 10 liters of water with the jeans. Like I said before, it's like they're not going to give a shit, to be honest. But for us, if you can go, hey, check out this T-shirt, it's made from fucking weeds. What do you reckon about that? And they'll go, what?
Hooked them in.
I think people should consider sustainability in the same manner that they consider innovation, really. It's an ongoing process, which you're never really going to get to that end result. You're always going to be trying to do things better. There's always a more sustainable or better way of doing something.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the Make It Happen show. I'm Tim Morris, the CEO at The Entourage, and today I'm joined by Jono Salfield, one of the co-founders of Afends. Now, Afends is a super cool Australian apparel company. They're based in Byron. They've been around for more than 15 years, and in the early days, they really focused on the punk, skate, and surf scene. And today, while they still have flavors of that, they actually retail worldwide. Really interestingly, what we dug into in this conversation was how they've really baked sustainability practices into their entire business. They're really leading the charge here, particularly using hemp in their clothing, which they have been manufacturing with hemp for a number of years now, and they're really stepping it up by actually starting to grow their own hemp at a brand new farm they've just purchased out of Byron. So it was a really, really interesting conversation about how kind of halfway through their journey, they really started embracing sustainability practices and how they really make it happen. So lots of great stuff in here. If you're a business that you're thinking that maybe you should be doing a little bit more good, or maybe you should be reducing your impact on the environment, I think there's a ton of great stuff you can learn from this episode. Let's get into it. Jono, it's awesome to have you on today. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Tim.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to getting into this. This is a really, really interesting area. I think the place to start off with is Afends is really leading the charge around sustainability and hemp clothing particularly. How are you making that happen?
I think from seeing an industry like the fashion industry where it is quite pollutive, for us, we're trying to make it happen on a way where it's not only sustainable, but it also meshes really with our audience. So I guess with the fans and the brand and the aesthetic that we have, it can be quite boring telling, a 21-year-old that, hey, you're going to save this much water if you buy this pair of jeans. So we've got to do it in a way which they can connect and really get behind. And I think that's the same with anything to do with climate action or sustainability. You've got to be able to walk and talk and give the consumer something that they can connect with and really understand and be passionate about.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because if it's preachy, particularly to a younger audience, it's just not going to resonate.
No, you can't tell a younger audience, hey, this is really cool. You saved, 10 liters of water with the jeans. Like I said before, it's like they're not going to give a shit, to be honest. But for us, if you can go, hey, check out this T-shirt, it's made from fucking weeds. What do you reckon about that? And they'll go, what?
Hooked them in. So when did this journey start? Is there like a moment that kind of crystallized for you? I mean, once you're into, you've been in business for years. You guys have been in business for a long time. When was the kind of flick of the switch around sustainability? We're really going to push hard on this. When did that happen?
Yeah, look, it probably, to be honest, happened about 6 years ago when we were, we'd been going for a while and we were just starting to sell in the US, and we're really thinking, what's the point of difference from a fans, and, what's our customer into and what can we do? And, do we want to be known for, a pants or T-shirts or a clothing item? And Deco and I, my business partner, were just chatting. We're like, hey, look at this fabric hemp. And we're like, we'd known there was a couple of little brands. There was one brand called Exantra from Mullumbimby, and they made a pair of hemp shorts, I believe, back in like 95. And we're surfers from the area, and the brand was super cool, and we were like, hey, let's try and do something similar. That brand stopped running back in the 2000s or something. And so we developed this pair of hemp board shorts, and they came out, they had this crazy tie-dye print on it, and they were really cool, and they resonated pretty well with the audience. And we just started researching more into hemp, and it was that light bulb moment where we're like, shit, you can do cool stuff and be sustainable.
Yeah, awesome. So it's not like you were thinking down the product line, you're like, do we specialize in this area? And then you're like, no, we could actually specialize in like the material and run that across everything. And so what are some of the benefits of using hemp in clothing?
There's a few that kind of go hand in hand. So if you compare hemp to cotton, which is probably the easiest comparison, hemp grows within around 3 months, 3 to 4 months. And you can produce, I don't know the exact stats, but you can produce a lot more fiber per acre than cotton. And then also with hemp versus cotton, it takes a lot less water. And these are things that obviously we've just researched online, and it's, if you just do a Google search, these are things that come up. The other thing is that hemp grow without pesticides, and that's probably the biggest point. So cotton has a lot of bugs that want to eat it, and in this area it's impossible unless you are growing it under nets. So hemp, we're about to grow our first crop, and you don't need pesticides. You basically put the seed in, water it, and let it grow.
Where it goes. Yeah, well, that seems like 3 pretty compelling reasons. It grows faster, so it's for those growing it, it's a better return on investment. Less water, which is good for the environment, and also probably better return on investment, and no pesticides, so you can make it organic.
Yeah, and a higher yield, so you're going to create more product per acre.
Yeah, we can. And so you guys have just bought a farm and you're growing your first crop, which is awesome. I want to hear about that. But up until now, like, where has your supply come from? Where are you manufacturing? How does that part of the business work?
Yeah, so like hemp, like it's been put in this dark ages from when it was obviously made illegal back in the 50s, 60s zone. I think it was around then. So all our hemp comes out of China at this stage. I know France is a big grower of hemp, and the US is starting to grow hemp. In Australia, we have no industry at all here for fiber. So we are very limited to how we can actually, where we can make our hemp clothes and where the hemp's from. So it's China at this stage.
And then I imagine it would have been a bit of a learning experience trying to find people that fit with your sustainability ethos. And so back in the day, you might have just gone to any factory. I've actually done a little bit of manufacturing over in China, and we were not looking at any of the kind of like credentials. We were just like, let's just find someone that can supply us something. Let's go. So how did you did you change suppliers? Obviously, you've moved to one that specializes in hemp, but did you also change suppliers for other reasons?
Look, we've bounced through suppliers, and when you're starting out, you've got to basically, and you don't know what the effects might be. You're working with anyone that will work with you. So we're obviously in a position now where we're lucky enough that we can produce higher MOQ quantities. We're quite sizable POs, as we're selling a lot more clothing these days. So we have the luxury not only to what we've been doing is, rather than bouncing from the factories that mightn't have had the best standards or certifications, we've more put it on them and going, hey, we need you to be certified in this area. We need staff and people to be paid not only a fair wage but a living wage. So something that the staff are getting paid enough that they're actually happy. The working conditions are above a standard, and for us, all our products now since January 2020 is certified sustainable fabrics.
Awesome. So what kind of volumes are you ordering? Like when you a certain SKU, like a particular shirt, particular size, how many would you be ordering at once now?
Look at some of the items, we'll get into the thousands, but generally, around 500 to 1,000 for an item. That would be considered if you compare us to, other competitive brands, like the bigger ones, they're producing thousands and thousands and thousands of units of some SKUs. We're still very limited.
Yeah, but they're kind of tying that back to your whole ethos. Like when you're producing that much, there's going to be wastage. There's going to be stuff that doesn't sell.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience. When we went to pick up, I had an e-commerce business that did underwear and socks by subscription. When we went to pick up the last stuff from our 3PL, they're like, "Oh, we've got nothing left." I'm still working through that underwear. There's so much, so much left over, and so I kind of like your angle on it. It's like, be focused, do a little bit less. There's going to be less wastage. It ties into everything that you're about.
Well, that's the thing. You might be pigeonholed into a position where you've got to order way more than you think you're going to sell, and then suddenly you're left over with half of the production, and now you've got to put that on sale, and you're selling it for a lot less, and people might be buying something they don't really need, and it definitely contributes to an unsustainable practice.
Yeah.
When you're manufacturing, you basically get big sheets of material and you're cutting out all the patterns or whatever it is, and you've got all this wastage that in a lot of cases all that wastage goes into the big back bin out the back and gets thrown out. We've introduced recycled factory floor products where basically they'll get all the offcuts from basically the pattern making, and then they'll repurpose that back into more textiles.
Oh, cool. Just a wild set of shorts.
Yeah. No. I think they basically just put it into I don't know the process.
They probably mulch it down and make it into new textiles. Yeah.
Bleach it into or something.
Yeah. Still, it would be wicked to have a set of shorts. It's like that's our offcut range.
It's got a bit of carpet in it. It's got some t-shirts.
I'd love to come back to the farm, right? Because this sounds pretty cool. So you bought 100 acres just near Byron. Like, what's the plan? Where's it out? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I guess we just wild cowboys. Look, it's been a dream of Deco and mine forever. We started the brand on Declan's father's property, which it's only like a 5-acre property, but working from an environment where you're not in an industrial estate, and you're in nature a little bit was really exciting to us. So we've always had this dream that one day we'd be able to afford some land and we could have it as a creative outlet. But now, as we've gone through the journey and we've got so hemp mad, we've decided to grow our own hemp. And we've got this property. It was actually an old golf course back in the day, and it's got this really beautiful old European style building with terracotta roof.
Cool.
It's right on the side of the highway, so it's super visual. It's super. You can see it perfectly from the highway as you're driving from the Gold Coast to Byron. And where we're going to have actually the hemp field is right above it. So you'll be on the highway and you'll look to the right and you'll see this huge, 1 hectare, basically marijuana growing.
So I got to ask you, this is a question I've had in the back of my mind. Is it the same? Is it a strain that people might come and try and pitch your product, or it's different?
No, it's a different strain. It doesn't have any THC. Sorry to break it to you, but
it'll be very disappointing for the Byron locals, I imagine.
Yeah, but I mean, it's what we wanted to do with putting it there in the face of everyone is like, hey, look, here's a crop that's considered illegal and bad, but here it is right in your face, and we're going to actually grow our own clothes out of it.
Yeah, great.
It doesn't, but look, it is just, it's the, what do you want to call it? The sensible cousin of the naughty one.
Good way to put it. So I think another really interesting area to touch on is like from Byron to the world, right? You guys you grew up in Byron, as in the business grew up, and you guys probably grew up there as well, actually. But so have you always been based there? And what are some of the challenges of being from Byron to the world, and what are some of the benefits?
Yeah, look, Byron's changed so much over the last 20 years. So yeah, Deco and I, we both grew up here. We've been here forever.
Mm.
Went to primary school and high school together, and always wanted to create a brand, and we did it for some reason somehow. And yeah, when we were first starting out, there was Mad Dog, which is like a old surf brand, and they had a couple of stores, and you had Bay Action here, and across from our concept store, which we've had for 10 years now, was a shop called Byron Style. And yeah, there was literally hardly any industry. And look, we had moments where we're like, hey, we're gonna have to move to Sydney and establish there if we want to be known. Um, and being surfers and wanting to just live in a town where it's a bit more laid back and chilled, we decided not to, and we stayed here. And luckily, the industry more came to us, and Byron became this place of influence. And you've got celebrities and movie stars, and now pretty much every billionaire in the world's probably got a house here. It's crazy.
And you can be like, yeah, and we started it all off.
Yeah, it was all Afends. It wasn't Chris Hemsworth, it was Afends.
Great. Well, let's stick to that. So the huge explosion in Byron was going on before COVID, but it's obviously only accelerated through COVID. Do you also think that, everyone's more willing to be spread out now? In fact, they like being spread out. They like working a bit more remotely. I love seeing how regional towns, like real regional towns, are actually having a bit of a resurgence because of this. Are you feeling the benefit from that as well?
Yeah, look, definitely. I mean, we've got a flagship store right in town, and we've got one in Brunswick. And obviously, with the amount of tourism and hype Byron has, those stores are just cranking.
Yeah.
So as far as business goes, yeah, it's helped us for sure.
And what about talent? Have you got like more people moving in? How do you go hiring? Has that changed?
I mean, look, there's been challenges as well. You'd think it's this glorious place where everyone's going to want to move to Byron and work here. But then when they see how expensive it is to rent a house or set up here, they're like, oh, it's cheaper in Sydney.
Gotcha.
Like, it's gone pretty crazy just living. And look, yeah, like I've lived here forever, and I'm lucky enough to still live here. But it's there's been a very big change of the guard where a lot of the locals are now dispersed and have to live, half an hour to an hour away from Byron and stuff like that. So I feel like the community in Byron's changed quite a lot. And Byron's draw card is about, you come here, it's chill out, slow down, and, don't bring that fast pace, just try and relax and do things at a slower pace.
How does that gel with like building a big business that's now, got reach internationally? Are you like, no, I want the people that are going to work really hard? Or
don't slow down. Schedule. No, look, there's a lot of contrast. I think, look, there's best of both worlds here now, to be honest. We're very spoiled. We've got a beautiful location. We've got a lot of infrastructure where there's, lots of great businesses and people doing things, and a lot of entrepreneurs and people bringing great businesses here and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're spoiled.
Yeah,
sure.
That's very interesting. And the other interesting thing in there is kind of a little bit of a juxtaposition, probably in a bunch of places for you guys. You kind of got like sustainability and commerce. That's a little bit of a juxtaposition, but you're finding the balance in there. Slow down, but also we're running a serious business, so a little bit of speed up. There's a juxtaposition in there. You seem to be doing a really good job of finding the middle ground. Like, is this something that you think about a bit, or are you like, no, we just kind of figure it out?
Yeah, well, look, I think when you say sustainability, it's not just, what the clothes are made out of. You're using a sustainable fiber, but it's also, it's the full circle. So for us, a clothing brand, we're importing clothing that's been made overseas. It comes on a big shipping container. It then, from that port, it gets delivered to our warehouse. From our warehouse, it goes to different couriers that get sent around the world, predominantly Australia, but around the world. So we're emitting a lot of carbon in lots of different areas. And look, what we're working through now is to be a certified carbon neutral company. We've been really, there's a lot of maths involved. Basically, you've got your accounting department, which has to work out what your emissions are, and then from there we'll buy the carbon credits and
yeah. See, there's another juxtaposition right there. You're a clothing brand that's come out of like the punk and the skate scene, and now you're gonna do a bunch of maths.
Yeah. Failed maths, and then
there you go. Back then you're what am I ever gonna use this for? And now you're like, oh damn, I did need it.
Yeah, I needed to work out how much we're destroying the world.
In order to save it.
But look, I think the lesson is you got to look at yourself and go, what are we doing wrong, and how can we do it better, and how can we be part of that solution, and not be those greedy guys that are like, you know what, rather than paying 10 grand to offset our carbon, let's just not.
Yeah.
I think it's look, you see ScoMo and being hesitant to go to the climate thing that's going on at the moment, and it's a very difficult and hard solution. It's a hard problem to work out. But the easy thing is to work out what your emissions are, right, and just offset it with carbon credits. That's the easy thing.
I want to touch on the journey bit, like the sustainability journey a little bit, because obviously it hasn't happened overnight. What have been kind of, and for anyone that might want to embark on it in their business, what have kind of been the major milestones for you from like, okay, this is something we want to embrace, to kind of today?
Yeah, look, there's milestones, like I was saying, in every area. It's not just the fabric you're using, it's also the working conditions, and it's the emissions that you're emitting, and it's everything. So I feel like I think people should consider sustainability in the same manner that they consider innovation. Really, it's an ongoing process, which you're never really going to get to that end result. You're always going to be trying to do things better. There's always a more sustainable or better way of doing something, whether it be like, electric cars now delivering your product from Byron to Sydney, or, whatever it might be. There's always a better way. So, just creating, first of all, I think the first thing to do is to just go, what are the easy things we can do? And then from there, just keep building.
Yeah.
Whether it be as simple as just trying to learn math again and working out what your emissions are and offsetting.
I don't think that's the simplest place to start.
No.
So what I'm picking up there, it's like it's a philosophy, it's a journey, it's never done.
Yeah.
It's about kind of starting somewhere and going. And then how does the market respond to that? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people that respond very positively, but is there people that it's hard to please? Do they be like,
everyone's hard to please. Everyone's a keyboard warrior, and you're never doing anything right or good enough. And that's the problem we're living in this society today, that you've got, you got these people that are really trying to do good things. I mean, look, there are a lot of people that just do things because they feel like they have to, or they're going to fall behind, I think. But then there's a lot of people that actually just legitimately going, look, we do care and we want to do this right. But then you'll get someone else, a keyboard warrior, that will come in and go, okay, well, you're doing that right, but what are you doing? Why aren't you doing this in this way? Or you're contradicting yourself for these reasons. And you're like, well, look, to be honest, if we were at that very end result and we were doing everything 100% right, how do you, it's like, you've got to get there. It's a journey.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're never going to be there. You're never going to be, unless we just stop making clothes and we just all walk around naked. We're
100% sustainable because we don't make a single thing and we reuse our own waste.
We're the first clothing brand that's sustainable. We don't make clothes.
Yeah.
What is it? The Emperor wears no clothes. That's the most sustainable brand there ever is.
And so how do you deal with those keyboard warriors?
You just tell them to fuck off. No.
Done.
No, look, you deal with anyone. You just, you say, hey, we're trying.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, I've got a couple more questions. We do a rapid fire session called "Make It Happen in a Minute." Now, I haven't seen any of
Yeah.
these questions.
Yeah.
I didn't show them to you, obviously, either. Anna prepares them. They're normally very, very good.
Okay.
So you ready to get into these?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I can see there's a look of trepidation on your face.
We'll try and make it happen.
This is great. This is an area that we kind of touched on. It's first question is, what is one advantage regional business owners have over those in major cities?
Look, I think they have the advantage of being potentially, people that have a less high, not a high pace lifestyle where you're having to commute potentially an hour in traffic. You know, you sit in an office and then commute home, and they might have the luxury of being able to surf in the morning, clear their head, go to work feeling a little bit less overwhelmed than living in a city or something like that.
Yeah,
That
it's
could be
interesting.
one.
I always kind of go off on tangents on these questions, and this is my first one.
Goodness.
I love that. So it's kind of like you can almost slow down to speed up, right? Because people have got
Slow down, speed up.
yeah, more time. I'm sure that would absolutely help with creativity. That would absolutely help with thinking, differently about how you're going to approach different business challenges. So that's a huge advantage, I can see. Question number 2. What's one other company other than Afends that other founders can look to who set a great example of good sustainability practices?
Look, I really like Spell. They're obviously a complete different brand than ours. I'm really good friends with the owners. They've been through a similar journey where they started off, very humble beginnings, and then once they go down that rabbit hole of sustainability and things they're doing wrong and wanting to change, they've just kept accelerating in that. And I think they're great examples of how you can evolve on that sustainable journey and keep doing things better by the people and the environment.
So that was Spell.
Spell. Yeah.
All right, question number 3. If you could instantly master any one skill, what skill would that be?
Ooh, what would that be? I think a skill to read people's minds, then you can always know what people are thinking.
That would be awesome.
Then you just be like, ooh.
Would you?
Actually, it'd probably be a bad thing though, really, because you'd be like, why are you saying that about me?
Yeah. And then would you tell them that you could read their mind, or would you keep it secret?
Well, as soon as you told them that, it would be, it'd be.
They wouldn't be able to stop though, right? They'd just keep on thinking. You're like, I'm still reading it.
I'm still reading it. You're thinking, what's going on here? Thought this was a good skill, but maybe it sucks.
All right, we can ponder that later. Question number 4. What's one thing that hasn't always worked smoothly in your partnership with Declan, and how have you overcome it?
Look, we've had a pretty good relationship. One thing that doesn't run smoothly, me wanting to take the next 3 years off to go surfing, maybe.
Is that because he didn't come up with the idea first? He's like, damn it, I was going to say
that. Yeah. I mean, look, all partnerships, you have, differences and stuff. We're like brothers. We'll bicker and fight, but then be like, oh, whatever. I don't care. Let's go surfing.
Well, I think that is an advantage of having known each other for, it sounds like, almost your entire lives, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you do have, when you get to that point, and I think of some of my best mates, you get to the point where it's like, yeah, we could have the mother of all dust-ups, and like the next day it's good, and we have actually the past. The next day it's fine, right? And so that's
how it's going to be.
Yeah. But if you've met someone later on in life and you don't quite have that history, I think maybe it can be a little bit more challenging.
Oh, totally. I mean, same with relationships or whatever. If not known them for long, you don't know how much of a psycho they could be. Or
whereas in this scenario, some of my friends, I know exactly how psychotic they are, and I love them for it.
Yeah, and you're gonna be crazy right now. I just stand back. I know you'll be all right the next few days. So it's all good.
Awesome. All right, final question. If someone wants their business's goals and values to grow and mature in alignment with their own personal growth, what's one thing they need to do to make it happen?
I think they need to be just real with themselves, and that that is actually what your personal goals are and stuff, that you really, I think someone told me, you've got to, when you start a business, the first thing is you've got to realize what are going to be the really bad things that come along the way in that business. Like what are the hard parts? And if you don't mind those hard parts, then, obviously the easy part's going to be really good. But business takes up a lot of your time, effort, thought pattern. You go to bed, you're thinking about it, you wake up, you're thinking about it. So it's got to be something that you're really passionate and really love. And if your goals and aspirations and your way of life mesh really well with that, then it's going to it's going to work to some degree, whether it's successful financially or not.
Yeah. Last question from me is, what's something you're excited about, say, over the coming year?
Yeah, look, I'm really excited to be a farmer, which, I'm not that hands-on or much of a handyman or very good at man work, but I'm excited to try and get my hands dirty and to have a look at that whole process of, planting a seed and seeing it grow and what happens next. I'm pretty excited about being a hack of a farmer.
I see a year of blisters and all sorts of stuff ahead.
Oh, yeah. We were out there planting all these trees, and I was like, did like 2 or 3 hours, and I'm like, oh God, imagine doing this every day. Blister, complain about looking at a computer screen.
Awesome. What a journey. I've loved hearing all about the Afends journey. I think the key takeaway from me here is, you guys have been in business for what would it be, like getting close to 20 years, maybe 15, 20 years all up. But and then that's impressive in its own right. But you've gone and then sort of really not taken a change, of course, but you've gone to a more meaningful level kind of halfway through that journey. And so learning about that's been really interesting for me. And you're certainly putting your money where your mouth is with the farm. And so I'm going to be watching with a great amount of interest to see how it all goes.
Yeah, well, let's hope it all works. I mean, like I said, it's all a journey. So it's whether we fail on growing the crop or, that doesn't happen, we're going to give it a red hot go. So
yeah, now my prediction is it's going to grow out of control. You're going to be like, oh my God, look at this stuff. We've got more than we know what to do with.
Got heaps of weeds. What do we do with it?
All right, Jono, it's been awesome to have you on. Thanks for the chat, mate.
Thank you very much for having me, and see you later.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Make It Happen show. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And it doesn't need to end there. We've actually gone and grabbed a whole bunch of extra resources for you. Behind the scenes footage, videos from this and all the other episodes, as well as show notes that you can grab for free. Just head along to www.the-entourage.com/podcast and you can grab all those extra resources. Thanks for tuning in, and I cannot wait to introduce you to our next guest on the next episode.